Fantastic. So excited.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another
hi,
episode of Fear
everybody.
and Present Danger. My name is JB, and listen, it's been a lot, so let's just we're gonna introduce ourselves, and then we're just gonna jump into it because the whole game has changed. So I'm JB, and my co-hosts are Tyler Thulin. Hi, Tyler.
Hello.
How are you doing?
My hand's cropped out, so you can see like a few fingers.
I can see a thumb.
I was.
What that thumb do?
Yeah,
There we go.
I was doing pretty good. Until I got to I went to the dentist today, and they were playing Rugrats in the lobby, and I was like, oh wow, it's Rugrats. And the receptionist didn't know what Rugrats was.
Oh, no.
I was like,
oh, no. That was just a gut punch. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, but it's not your fault that she doesn't know things that are good.
Yeah.
She wasn't alive when it came out.
I said what I said, and I'm not taking it back.
So, yeah.
And our other co-host, are you ready for this today, Tyler?
Am I ready for what?
For all that's happened, for us to recap all that's happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Especially since I've kind of been saying it for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, you get to say you're right. For the first time.
We just got blessed early.
We got Kamala. And our other host,
in with the.
We'll get there. We're not there yet. Our other host is Tig. Hi, Tig.
Hi, everybody.
How are you doing?
I decided to go with the tank again because it's again ungodly hot in the Midwest, and I hate all of it. But also,
you know why you went with that.
I have to show off the fact with everything that we're going to be talking about that I am a very pale man. I do have I have the Midwest farmer's tan going though. I've had that for 30 something years now. So, you know, it's life. It's life in the fact that your melon doesn't exist. Anyway, life has been weird for me in the last week. It's been a roller coaster of personal shit, and I'm going to leave it at that. As far as politics go, I am excited. I was nervous and confused as to where everything was going, and then everything happened, and I mean everything. And it literally, we made this joke last time. We made the joke that every fucking time that we have this show, something else pops up. It's some new, like, oh, this has never happened before. Oh, this has happened once before. Well, Professor Tig may come out for that. But by and large, this type of thing has not happened. What has occurred has not happened before. And it's felt like that every time we come out. So for all those that do come up and do watch us, what the is going to happen in 2 weeks? I mean, that's the next question.
The problem has been,
or next week rather,
that it always happens.
Oh God, yeah.
Right after we record.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah, it's within the weekend after we record. Something happens.
Except
we are
for this week.
This week was a lot. So
like it's like, oh, we recorded. Something crazy is gonna happen, y'all.
Yeah. So everyone, be ready.
Yes.
Oh, God. It's not our fault.
I promise we're not manifesting anything into.
Yeah, we're. If I could claim that I manifested Kamala, I would love to. I would love to claim that.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. I'm sure we will. But
we'll get
other
to
than that, I'm
So
good.
I said
It's
it,
just
but I
a
won't take credit.
wonderful, weird week.
so we, speaking of Mamala,
Mamala.
Mamala.
Yes, mamala.
I want to actually start by kind of discussing Joe Biden dropping out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so for me, I'm looking at this in the sense of I'll put that down.
I love your ADHD just trying to finish that while trying to run this. Like,
I
it's
just want it done.
beautiful.
I've only been working on it for 4 days now.
God,
Well, you're running
not
out of
4
time.
days.
You've only got a couple more days.
Plus 2 months.
Anyway. And I pulled the tape off and it took off some of the paint. So I've got to do touch-ups after that.
Yeah, that usually happens.
But it's fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Joe Biden on Sunday, or not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that, dropped out of the race. And I found myself thinking,
be happier.
So here's the deal. I'm happy, but I'm not happy. I'm happy in the sense that there's new momentum. People have, there's been a groundswell of new enthusiasm, so like all of that stuff is great. And I'm not going to do, and I'm relatively happy with Kamala as a candidate or as the nominee. So, that's not taking anything I'm about to say is not going to take anything away from those things. I just think it sucks that it had to happen. And one of the things that I wanted to do is kind of put things in perspective as far as what Joe Biden accomplished as president that we don't really talk about, or that he doesn't necessarily get credit for. So I'm going to kind of go through a little bit of what his record is and what his accomplishments were for the last 4 years, and kind of go. I'm only going to grab a couple of them, not very much. So let's go this way. First things first. One of the things that he did was he drafted anti-redlining, and he tasked the Federal Reserve and independent bank regulators to draft new anti-redlining framework that will go into effect in 2026 that requires banks to lend to lower income communities in areas where they have a concentration of mortgage and small business loans rather than just where they have physical branches. And what that means is it will have direct more dollars into areas where banks normally would not lend to. The other thing he did was there was a proposal to cut the fees that large banks and credit unions can charge consumers for overdraft fees. That would bring them from $30 to $40 down to $3 to $14.
These things actually have teeth?
Huh?
I said these things actually have teeth?
Yes.
Some of those teeth have to be given by the people reporting things, but that's also being addressed with the fact that they're getting more people involved in monitoring things like that. But I'll let JB continue. I have a couple that if you don't mention, I absolutely want to mention.
Okay. The Health and Human Services issued a recommendation that marijuana can be moved from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug, which makes things easier for it to be legalized in all 50 states.
A recommendation, so it has happened.
Well, they're going to make the decision, but that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
He's pushing them to take that stance. He is not able to force the FDA, but he is pushing them to be like, this is what we're gunning for. So go ahead and make sure that you review this as part of your review process. Basically, instead of having the FDA shove it down further down the list, he's telling them put it up there.
Okay, like the top of the docket kind of situation.
Yeah.
But doesn't he promote, or doesn't he appoint the head of the FDA?
He does, but the FDA has to go through I believe it's a council. I don't remember how many people are on it in order to review, approve, and provide that listing, which has to go through the bureaucracy of the FDA. So it's still in the process, but it is a focus that they have put out there. Which, if that happens, like a lot of states that have been very hesitant will be able to do it. And on a federal level, it can be looked at much easier than a class 1.
Mm-hmm.
Much easier, especially if it gets knocked down to a 3. Like,
yeah.
For instance,
there's the Chips and Science Act that, is bringing manufacturing, and especially like chip manufacturing, back to the United States. That's a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
There was I'm going to go back and look. I'm looking through some more things. He was the first sitting president to go to a union, to go to a picket line. He's done a lot in this, in his term, that liberals, those of us who are on the left side of the spectrum, would love. He also is been using, we're producing more oil than any time in history.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. We're actually producing so much that we are exporting.
So why are gas prices still high?
Because the president
corporate greed. I'm sorry.
Corporate greed. Really, that's the answer.
Yeah. I mean, that if you really want to get down to the basics of it, it is quite literally just corporate greed. There's very little evidence that shows that anything the government can do right now is going to eliminate, remove, what have you, where it's currently at. It is absolutely being held up at where it's at by corporate greed. Now, the corporations will tell you that it is because of like the war in Ukraine, the unrest in the Sudan, Israel, etc. Mm-hmm. They'll tell you that's the reason. That's not the reason. The reason is they are making record profits and are maintaining those record profits by continuing a level of shortage that they're able to just continue to slowly hold over everybody. It's a manufactured shortage.
Yeah. Like every other time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single
time. I forget who it was. There was actually like a congressman or a senator or somebody's family was buying up all of the I don't know if it was aluminum or what the hell it was, but was storing thousands and thousands of tons, not things, tons of one of the raw resources that were used in something or other. I'll look it up because I don't want to sound like I'm talking out my ass, but they literally had evidence that they were storing it up, and because of that storage,
to create a shortage.
they were artificially increasing the price. Yeah,
Yeah. Diamond
was
manufacturers
totally
haven't
legal.
done that for decades. That's
Yeah.
never been something that anyone's ever done in history.
No. But the other one that I wanted to mention was, did you mention the $35 pharmacy or $35 insulin thing that they
I did not.
instituted?
I did not, but
That's
that's
true.
a big deal.
Yeah, that is a
The
huge
next
deal.
one I was going to talk about was the Respect for Marriage Act, which reversed the discriminatory ban on transgender service members. It strengthened non-discrimination protections in healthcare, housing, education, and employment, and ensured transgender Americans can access government support services, and it also secured the protections of millions of same-sex and interracial couples.
Yep.
He also, we got our first Black Supreme Court justice, for Black female Supreme Court justice with Ketanji Brown Jackson. She was the first public defender to ever be on the Supreme Court.
I was about to make a comment of that man is about as black as I am, but
Yeah.
Who did you say, Clarence Thomas?
Yeah.
Fuck that motherfucker.
Exactly.
Anyway, Ketanji Brown Jackson. And he's not even the first. Was not even the first. Thurgood Marshall was the first. And Thurgood Marshall tried to warn us.
We were going to make a crack about. Yeah, Thurgood Marshall tried to tell people not to have him there, that he was not a fit. Like he campaigned against him getting that position.
He said, "Don't put him up there just because he's black, because all skin folk ain't kinfolk." But we're gonna leave that alone.
So she's not the first real. Okay.
No.
Yeah, Thurgood Marshall was.
Thurgood Marshall was the first, and then Clarence Thomas.
But we can make our cracks about Clarence the white man Thomas. It's fine.
Yeah.
Clarence Caucasian Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Clarence Uncle Tom.
Uncle Ruckus ass Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
He has the other things that he did is he did the student debt relief. As someone who benefited from that, it's making my life way better.
And if the courts hadn't blocked it, it would have helped millions of more. Yeah, I was going to say, if the courts hadn't blocked it, it would have relieved millions more. And the fact that legally they could do that, and the courts decided to try to do their best to make sure that they couldn't, despite the fact that, like, there's been several decisions, and I don't want to go into a Supreme Court thing, but basically stripping each of the departments of as much power as they could. That's the simplest way to define it. Like the Department of Education, before that decision that stopped the financial assistance that Biden was pushing for, and would have. How do you help an economy? Do you keep people from being able to earn money and put it back into an economy, or do you keep them in unbelievable debt, paying these companies to manage this stuff for hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars a year? We pay damn near $1 billion in taxpayer money, or at least $500 million. Either way, it's way too much, to the different companies that manage the student loans. We pay them to manage the student loans that most people can't pay, spend 20 years trying to make any dent in, usually can't. And then where does that money go? It doesn't really go back into the economy. It goes into these guys' pockets. And if you'd rather just forgive a good chunk of everybody's stuff so that we aren't paying it to some random company that you're already as taxpayers paying, we could invest that into the economy. So it totally made sense. In fact, they made notes. I forget the exact numbers, but it was billions, if not a couple $1 trillion, that could be reinvested into the economy if student debt relief went through.
Wait a minute.
Which Biden tried to do.
So you mean to tell me that, like,
having
a middleman is a bad idea?
For those that missed it, I had a short but very thorough discussion about insurance companies as middlemen. Do you want me to go into it as far as what the what the student loan managing companies do and how much they've absolutely screwed people, including people who paid for 20 years, are worked as doctors, nurses, first responders, military, etc. Well, military, but you get what I'm trying to say. They met all the criteria as public servants and then were refused at a 98% of all requests were refused. Not for like, oh, well, you missed one payment 7 years ago, so we restarted you. Those were the excuses that were being handed out. That is who Biden and Harris worked to get overturned and provided the assistance to. That's the millions of everyone's like, well, I didn't get my money. You didn't, but you were probably someone who was just above the mark because they were trying to get full forgiveness for people under, I think it was $20,000 or $12,000, and pull that back down. And then,
well, I was under
whenever,
that program,
and then you had to have a certain number of years that you've already paid. And the biggest benefiters of it were the people that should have gotten their loans forgiven because they were public service people, and they didn't get them. Or
like
or half of them went to Trump University, yeah.
And its subsidiaries.
Yeah. And so all of the people that were either scammed or were scammed, if I'm being blunt, by companies that rejected their public service stuff because they had one late payment. Actually, I think I said missed payment. It was a late payment. And they would use that to reset them to whatever year that was, meaning that if you had 7 years in after the one late payment, well, you didn't make your payment on time, we're going to have to reject you. You need 6 more years. And it's like, what? Who? What?
They're like, or you could just forgive it, and then I don't have to pay shit, and you don't have to worry about me not paying.
And I can go back to, oh God, that wonderful, terrifying thing of free fucking public universities, which was a thing. Thank you, fucking Reagan. But we're going to focus on Biden and his accomplishments. And the fact that he was able to get all of those loans forgiven was because those people had fucking earned it.
The other thing that
it's going to help the economy. So
the other thing that he did that he doesn't get credit for is he turned the economy around. Yes. Everything is sky high and the rent is too damn high. But could you imagine how much higher it had been?
That's really corporate greed.
Yeah, that's corporate
60-something percent. 60% has been noted as being corporate greed. For everyone that's like, that's the government. Actually, the government apparently is only 10%. You can look up the data. The data shows that it's about 10 to 12% of government influenced inflation, whereas 60 to, I think it's like 54 to 60% is corporations increasing prices without any real reason. It is just them artificially inflating.
So for those of you that don't want to do the math, that is nearly and sometimes more than half of the inflation.
And inflation right now is sitting at 3%.
Loaf of bread.
Yeah. Yeah, and also it'd be fantastic to say that
just because
for all of you that
charge that much.
Yeah, for all of you that that are not educated enough to, look up this information, and it's been stated that we'll just do the math for you. It's half of it or more is corporate greed. That's like you guys saying that you have an 8-inch when you've only got 4. We can tell. It's okay.
I can smell it.
Some of them don't wash. It's a thing.
Just because you have it behind your fupa does not mean that it's there.
No,
Jesus, I can't. But also, if we're being our inflation is sitting around 3%, which is lower than the world average. We actually have the lowest inflation of any developed nation, and our GDP is growing faster than any other developed nation.
Yeah.
So while yes, it sucks, and the rent is too damn high, I will tell you that it's not as high as it would be in the UK or
France,
or other
Germany.
Germany.
Italy, all of these places that are still in their own regard struggling with recovering from COVID, but they did not have the economy investments that our government, Biden's government, did.
So we have the fastest growing economy since COVID. So thanks Biden.
But wait, weren't those jobs that were created rebound jobs?
No. No.
So the simple answer is no. The more complex answer is hell no. The actual answer from statistics is we've increased more jobs than any point in history. History. That includes all of the time back during the response to the Great Depression. In history, Biden has offered, created, and established more jobs with his infrastructure plans, the CHIPS Act, and so many other things that have made him a wonderful president.
And that's where I'm gonna leave that one there. I want to move on to Kamala.
Well, I just want to finish with, and people have their opinions about when he should have done it. The fact that a politician would take all of the input and gentle but firm nudging and drop the ego long enough to be like, you know what? I don't know if I can do it, and I don't want him there. Take this and go beat his ass with it. That's the transition you can take to Kamala.
And also
pass that baton
and
keep running.
And also, if you think about it like this, do you think that Donald Trump would have done that?
Not a chance in hell. That's the reason he made zero effort to plan for this.
Now, the other question.
Wait. To answer your question, that would mean that he would have to admit that he was not the most important person in the universe.
And there is the rub.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm really what I am shocked by, as far as Kamala picking up the baton and running with it, is the enthusiasm that she has behind her. Because when she ran for president in 2020, she was the first one to drop out.
Yeah.
And so I was
that
like,
was most unfortunate.
Huh?
I said that was most unfortunate.
Well, her campaign wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, she had no traction at the time. That was the problem. She didn't have enough traction.
So what I was worried about was that we would get kind of that same thing. But boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
Because 200 million is where she's at right now.
I think she's already up to 225. I think that was the most recent number I saw.
And it's only been 10 days.
Yeah.
But how many of those are corporations that are just, that she's in bed with?
We can actually look at that.
Yeah, you can actually pull up those numbers.
Most of them are small dollar donations.
Yeah. I don't know the exact percentage. I was about to give a number, but I don't actually know the specific percentage. But I will say, while you're looking that up, that we can also throw out the numbers. There were, within 2 days, Black women around the country organized 44,000 people to jump onto a Zoom call. I have trouble dealing with 20 people on a Zoom call, and they were able to organize and put together. They offered the maximum of 1,000 spots on Zoom, and when they offered the 1,000 spots on Zoom, it filled in like 5 minutes. And after it filled up, they were like, "Okay, really quick, we're going to reach out to the CEO of Zoom and be like, hey, can we uncap this? Can we see can we try to let more people in?" And they did. And 44,000 Black women jumped on a call together for 4 hours and raised how much money on that first night? Like $1 million, something like that. It was insane. And this was 2 days after she received her endorsement from Biden. This was went from went from 0 to 1,000 right there. The next night, 45,000 black men. The 2 nights later, I think, or a night later, 100,000 white women.
Wow.
And then the one I was actually happy to join into on Monday night, I think it was Monday night. The last few days have been a blur, personal shit. Was 180,000 people. And the statement has been, it's like, well, that's a whole bunch of white guys getting together. They actually, for those that are uninformed, they actually opened it up to anyone that wished to join. It was not specifically white men. Almost all of the presenters were white men. Various politicians, celebrities, activists. There was a large group of them that joined up and spoke for that period, and the names were fantastic to get those get that support and endorsement. But during that
real,
call that I sat there for, $4.2 million was raised.
Yeah, and then X
immediately banned them.
banned them. So
Immediately banned them on X for no reason. They were given
they still haven't given a reason. But like for me, as far as that's concerned, that there were not that many white men who were like, we're gonna get on board for a black and Indian woman.
Yeah.
But were they
Here's another
straight
fun
or were
stat.
they gay? Because
it doesn't matter.
The answer was yes. But the other thing that was absolutely fantastic to hear about that while I was actually in on that was oh wow, I lost my train of thought that quick. It just slipped right out of my head. It was something that you were saying, JB, and I was going to respond to it or add to it, and it just fell out of my head. That's why we're live. It was a. I'll come back to it if it pops back in my head.
Commercial. Oh wait, we don't have any sponsors.
JB, can you rehash what you were describing, and it'll probably pop back into my head?
I don't remember what I was talking about.
Let's see. We were talking about the white guys.
White guys for Oh, I was trying to figure out why they banned them. They don't say.
Oh, it's gonna come back to me.
And then
that was it. There it is. Hold on. There it is. It just popped in my head because it is a valid and wonderful point. So first off, they described the fact that if only 2 or 3% more white men had come to Clinton's campaign, Clinton would have won. But the other fun fact, in 2016 and 2020 combined, the swing states that decided the election were decided by fewer people than were on that call.
Wow.
Combined. That's how close those elections were. And that's why it was amazing to see that many people get onto that call. Were some of them trolls and trying to post? Probably. That's also the reason they didn't have comments on, because why have comments on whenever people are going to troll? But the fact that you can reference the last 2 presidential elections having fewer people deciding the vote than the people that were on that call, insane to think about that. Mm-hmm. And because I'm getting more involved, I was also on the call last night when Vice President Harris went to Georgia and spoke in Atlanta and called Trump out on stage. Like, say it to my face. Why are you hiding from this debate? Say it to my face. You got so much crap to say behind my back. Why don't you just come out on stage and say it? Still hasn't responded to requests to establish another debate. Oh. Still hiding like a child wearing diapers. Yes, reference diapers again, because he is now nearly an 80-year-old man running for the presidency. Let's just rehash that again.
He just needs
so
huggies.
Much. He got plenty. He got them Depends. Yeah, I will leave it at that so we can continue on. But guys, I could talk about those calls a few more, like probably another 10 minutes. They were amazing calls to be on.
So, well, they still have not said why they banned them, but they did reinstate them the next morning. So what it seems like to me is that someone over at Twitter saw the engagement and saw what was happening and was like, we can't have this. And there we go.
Corporations don't get directly involved in things. I mean, they didn't do that whenever GameStop was doing amazing. It's not like they stalled out that. Oh, wait.
They did.
They did. Yeah, they did.
And so I'm hoping that this continues on.
But Musk
90,
is all
98
about free
days.
speech and like not letting corporations censor and stuff. He's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, sure.
all about free speech.
That's
I
why
mean,
he
quite
retweeted that's why he retweeted an AI generated ad mocking Kamala Harris. Because he doesn't have a skin in the game.
Which, you know, like, and I will say this personally, you could take a shit on a silver platter and hand it to me and say, vote for this or vote for Donald Trump.
I just slapped the shit.
Yeah. I'm voting for the shit. I'm voting for the full feces.
Yeah.
Because they can't do no worse.
Yep.
You know who else should have been on the docket this week and I didn't talk about him we didn't talk about it pre-show? JD Vance. Because that also happened.
Yeah, it did.
He be fucking couches, y'all.
What?
Yeah. He be fucking couches. You didn't see that?
To help me understand.
The Washington Post, or I think it was the Washington Post, posted up an article describing the fact that in Hillbilly Elegy, his famous book, it's mediocre at best. Yeah, absolutely ghost written. That man doesn't have a 4-syllable word in his entire vocabulary. But
he looked like
they made a note from his book where he talked about the fact that he fucked a couch. And so they posted it up.
Why would you include that in a book?
And then they took it off because of heat that they started to get for it, but not before the internet saw it. And there has been no like, you're wrong, because it's in his damn book.
In the book. It's in the book. It's there. We can't. And like,
we can't unsee it. For those that have imaginations, you get to imagine JD Vance, the possible vice president, fucking a couch. Enjoy that.
And I know this is weird to say, but he just looks like he smells like old ghosts.
I mean, Trump's press secretary can't even sit in one correctly, so.
Well, listen, we leave racist Gollum where she's at, but you know. And I don't think that's his press secretary anymore. That's something else.
Former.
Former press secretary.
Still, we all know who you're talking about.
We listen. My press.
Yeah, I couldn't remember her name.
But
how did I do that?
There has never been a vice president announced candidate that has received such a low rating, and he just continues to drive it down. Also,
and the more you find out about him,
the absolute terribleness of it.
Like, yeah, like he's in the pocket of Peter Thiel, which you know who that is?
No.
He was the founder of PayPal, and then he did a couple of other things. He did some stuff with Elon Musk before. But he is like this eccentric gay billionaire who's a curmudgeon and is just contrary for the sake of being contrary.
Oh.
He is known for being anti-democratic. Like, he doesn't believe in democracy. He said freedom and democracy are not compatible, is what Peter Thiel said. So
Yeah.
he's in the pocket of him. He basically financed J.D. Vance's entire Senate campaign to the tune of like $25 million, which was like at that time the most ever spent in I believe it's the most a single person has ever gotten, someone's ever gotten from a single donor in a Senate campaign. I believe that's what it is. It's ridiculous and insane.
So, do you want the quote from his book? I pulled it up.
Sure, give it to us.
Thiel explained in 2009 essay that he had come to no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. That specific part is a direct quote. Due in large part to welfare beneficiaries and women in general being, quote, notoriously tough for libertarians. Constituencies, and that he focused efforts on new technologies, namely cyberspace, space colonization, seasteading, that could create a new space for freedom, quoted, beyond current politics. He is a self-described conservative libertarian, and he wrote a book even back in 95 with David O. Sachs, The Diversity Myth. A book criticized political correctness and multiculturalism in higher education. This guy's fantastic.
Yeah, he's great. He's a good one, you know. He's one of the good gays.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you hear that, and then you know, he's got this thing about single women with cats. Like, he said that people with children's votes should get more votes, should have more voting power. You know, going against the whole one person, one vote thing. He's a blazing nutbag.
Here's one more fun one for you from him. Thiel, who is gay, has reported mostly conservative gay rights supported mostly conservative gay right causes such as the American Foundation for Equal Rights and GOP Proud. He invited conservative columnist and friend Ann Coulter to HomoCon 2010 as a guest speaker. Coulter later dedicated her HomoCon. You heard about it. It's the RNC.
Oh, Jesus.
You made him do a spit take.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So later dedicated her book, her 2011 book, Demonic, how the liberal mob.
That would be Closet Con. Thank you very much.
There you go. But Coulter later dedicated her 2011 book, Demonic, How the Liberal Mob is Endangering America, to Thiel. That's who he runs with.
You know, and for me, I just feel like we don't deserve it. We didn't ask for it. We don't want it. Give it to somebody else.
See, when you were pulling up the quote, I thought you had pulled up the quote about him fucking a couch.
No, can we not ever have that quote?
So we don't have to make that a thing.
Please don't. I don't want to think about this snuffleupagus. You know, he looks like J.D. Vance looks like the person in high school that got bullied and like developed a weird complex about it and then grew up, but still lives in high school. Like, he was bullied in high school and he also peaked in high school. I just want him to go away. Like,
and his comments about women are just continually coming out, and his comments, and this is note, quick note. Have you also heard all of the wonderful things that JD Vance has talked about in regards to children and the cat ladies and all of the other crap that has spewed out of that idiot's mouth?
Yes, we just
Like,
talked about it.
he is, well, I meant like he is as a dad.
Oh, here's
It's
an
my
Al
job.
Jazeera article about just that.
Yeah, as a
Childless
dad, my
cat
job
ladies.
is to try to build a world that I feel like my child can have success in. His version is because he has children, he should receive more votes than anyone else. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did. We talked. I just said it. You wasn't listening to me. See?
I wasn't. I was busy reading up more on Thiel and being disturbed.
Okay.
But
Uh,
yeah,
I
it's
just
we're
sent
getting
a
sidetracked.
I just sent
Um,
a I just
so
sent a link. Can we talk about this photo?
I'm afraid.
I don't know if I want to talk about this
I'm
photo.
afraid.
Um,
Oh,
Poor
that's
child.
disturbing. That child looks terrified. For those that don't know, we're looking at the Al
hold on,
Jazeera
nope, you don't even
article.
got to do all that. I got you, boo.
Yeah,
Oh, you
that's
got
why I
it?
sent
Okay.
the link.
Go
So you
ahead.
can pull it
Like,
up.
just pull it up so we can witness this terrifying child, this terrifying man holding this child who looks desperately like they're trying to, Mommy,
Run
why is
away.
this man holding me?
Where did this scary man touch you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Comments. Keeping to myself. I'm only talking about real stuff that I have proof of.
Oh, that's right. I didn't do
Um,
it that way. Hold on.
we've discovered new technology, everyone. We're trying to get it integrated so you all can enjoy the chaos that is this with us. So while you pull that up, though, I'm gonna jump back a little bit because I feel like we're getting on the JD Vance and fucking Trump stuff, and we wanted to talk about Vice President Harris and the groundswell of support that's coming. And it honestly, for someone who was able to go at Mizzou and see Barack Obama speaking in front of that crowd, it feels like that. It feels like that kind of a swell and that rising wave of support that was from the ground up. It was absolutely supported by corporations. I'm not going to knock them out because everybody in politics is getting money from some jackass to try to give their 2 cents put in there. But Harris's support right now feels like that. Here's the other fun part. The other thing that they were able to note was that 133,000 volunteers had signed up since Vice President Harris got the endorsement. 133,000 people going out to do call centers, door knocks, etc.
Wow.
It is insane that in 10 days they've had about probably close to 150 to 200,000 people step in. They've raised 200, I think it's 225, but it's at least $200 million. And it doesn't show signs of slowing down right now. There will be those points where the wave probably slows down a bit, but if it doesn't, this is an amazing turn, and I cannot wait to see how it progresses. Because at the Atlanta conversation,
Did y'all see
Harris
it?
was able to. Yeah, I did. I watched the whole thing. But
What?
oh,
No,
the
see
picture? No, it didn't pop up. It was trying to load, but didn't pop up.
Okay, yeah, it froze my computer. I was gone for a minute.
Okay. Well,
Fuck it. I'll go this way.
you're gonna pop it so we can actually see it. Look, everyone, we can move on the fly. No, don't show. There, yeah. Keep your house.
I was gone for a minute. Now I'm back with the jump off.
It's probably gonna be.
Oh, it's upside down, but that's
It's upside down.
okay. Well,
You're gonna have to turn
the,
off your background, boo boo.
Hang on.
yeah, your background's having a moment there.
Yeah, we're doing our
Here.
best.
See my white
Here,
lady house?
I'll do it. There you go. How's that?
Yeah. Listen, he looks like everything that can go wrong. And this picture is old because he is a little bit more tubby
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
than
Yeah, he has
he
definitely put
is
on
in
some
that
weight.
picture.
And look at
That
that poor
picture, if
child.
I saw him at the gay bar and he tried to holler at me, I might, depending on how much alcohol I've had,
Mm,
say
might do
maybe.
it for you.
Maybe.
Yeah. But that poor child, I look at that photo and I'm just going, "Ooh, honey, let's get you away from this strange man." It is very strange. Um,
You
but
know what he
yeah,
looks okay, listen, follow me with this.
okay.
He looks like if Tom Cruise worked at the grocery store.
And ate half the deli meat. Um, yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, he has been a terrible pick. I mean, absolutely trash.
Trash pick. Speaking
And
of trash,
it's it's horrifying. But
Just ask
last thing
Ohio.
for last thing for Harris is, if anybody hasn't, please go watch everything that President Harris has stated, because she actually talked about policy during that. I still haven't heard one thing from Trump's mouth that he is going to do outside of revenge and attacking the people that have attacked him, which is terrifying for literally the rest of the country when that's what he's referencing. Because his entire platform, if you really want to see it, is listed on Agenda 47 and Project 2025, and those things are nightmare fuel. And
okay,
for all of those in the military that want to support, that think that the Republicans support military, he wants to cut veteran benefits. That's in Project 2025. That's in Agenda 47. He wants to gut the VA and make it a privatized thing. For those of us who never served, thank you for anyone who has served who is watching us.
especially the gay ones.
Yeah, absolutely, for all the crap you guys have gone through in life. But for anyone that hasn't served and has had to deal with what private insurance is right now and private healthcare, God no. The VA has its problems, but money would help them if we actually gave a shit about our veterans. It we could absolutely provide them with world class healthcare, but
But you
we'd
said
much
the private.
rather we'd much rather gut the VA, and instead of just giving them more money, make them pay private amounts. I mentioned the private amounts to some coworkers who were former military, and they're like, "What? You pay how much?"
Okay,
Yeah.
so question. Because when you say gut the VA and privatize, those can be two different things. Because if you look at Medicare and the Medicare Advantage plans, and that is a privatization of the government
Mhm.
funds. So are so was the is the quote that you're going to make it like Medicare Advantage, or because they have TRICARE, or was it like actually getting rid of any government sponsored healthcare for the veterans? Because those are two very different things. I want to make sure that those two aren't conflated to our viewers watching.
Um,
Hold
I
on, I'm
don't know.
pulling up the exact information because I want to make sure that we provide facts and we don't just use hyperbole. So, uh,
I provide hyperbole on a regular basis.
And while he's looking that up, I will explain what that means exactly. So, a Medicare Advantage plan is a is basically the government, instead of paying for Medicare for a person that is over the age of, what is it, 65, um they have the option of basically using that, paying that same amount to a private organization, and there's several different ones. I'm not going to list the names because I don't want to do that, but there's several different private healthcare companies that have Medicare Advantage plans, and they are paid by the federal government to provide healthcare. Um, there's usually a plan that has a $0 copay, and then and some of the higher tier plans have a little bit higher copays, usually under $100 or $2 um, a month. But sometimes they can be like $10 and $15. They can be lower, they can be high. Anyway, um, and so that health insurance company um, then takes on the responsibility or burden of providing healthcare for those people under those circumstances, and they have their own set of rules. Whereas with Medicare, it's an 80-20, where the government pays 80% and you pay 20% for different procedures and things. With a Medicare Advantage plan, you might get certain services for free, or they might be discounted, but then other things might be more expensive. It's kind of a trade-off.
So the dismantling is to remove a lot of the bureaucracy as one of the points. The next point is to gut the unions that are a part of it. They want to gut the unions so that way they can bring in outside HR hiring to bring non-union members much greater access to the VA, and then bring in a lot of basically outside vendors and outside of government supported and government paid vendors into it, which is part of the reason why private healthcare is so high.
Yeah.
Is because they are working toward, like, if they can, more of putting what is a private healthcare system into the VA. Is the VA have problems? Absolutely. Talk to a bunch of veterans and they'll talk about the fact that the VA has problems. But the way that Project 2025 and Trump's approach is to tear apart the infrastructure of the VA and create a much more accessible, privatized thing. Could they possibly bring in, I'm going to give both sides, could they possibly bring in more updated equipment, more updated stuff? Possibly. So could just giving them some more fucking money, or focusing it, or let me rephrase this, focusing the money on actual improvements to the VA system rather than earmarking it for that with non-focused, I forget the exact term. There's actually a term
Pork barrel
which states that
spending.
money that is, well, pork barrel spending, but there's actually a term in budgets in the political level, in the federal level, that we've set aside $30 billion to upgrade all of the VAs. None of it's guaranteed. It can be pulled away and used for other things, and regularly it is.
Like
They're happy to keep,
military-industrial complex.
yeah, they're happy to keep a ton of money in the military to provide new weapons and new stuff for new soldiers to go out and deal and do whatever the hell they want them to do. But when you come back home, the Republicans in particular, Democrats aren't great about it either, if I'm honest, but Republicans in particular treat veterans, in my mind, they treat veterans as a simple tool to be used in political processes and then get rid of them. What does that sound an awful lot like? Oh, that's right, children. No, children. They treat them like they do children. You're great whenever you're an absolute thing that we really want when you're in the womb or when you're in the military. But when you retire or you're born, we don't give a fuck about you. So anyway, that got off rail from our current focus, but I needed to get that out there.
Okay, so I was just letting you do your thing.
Professor Tig.
So the final thing that I want to talk about tonight is, so everybody come to the front of the congregation. So currently the let me make sure I get it right. Hold on
The
one
title
second.
of the group that he went and spoke in front of?
Yep.
Is
I
it
would need to pull up the
NABJ?
exact wording.
I want to get
But
the exact wording.
non-acronym version.
Oh,
for the
I was
national.
like,
So
I could think of an acronym.
the National Association of Black Journalists conference is happening right now, and
Someone signed up Trump for a panel.
Someone signed up Trump to come and speak at this. Now that actually,
we thank them for it. We thank them for it.
I don't, but we'll get there.
I thank them for the result, but that's a different thing.
So I was looking at stuff. This move made one of the co-chairs of the National Association of Black Journalists resign their post. Now, mind you, there was an issue that happened, both that happened with the equipment, and that is, so it started 35 minutes late, which the joke writes itself. I'm not going to make that joke in front of two white men. I'm not doing it. But and so the interview was 35 minutes late, so I'm sure that Donald Trump, I almost said Donald, just fuck it. But I'm sure, but they had they were late, so when they had him on, he was probably a little testy. But I'm gonna see. I probably won't be able to do it this way because if it wouldn't share my screen for that, I wonder. I'm gonna try it this way. Let me know if you can hear it, people who are in the audience, or where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I was watching it earlier. There it is.
As journalists, we
Okay. Can you hear it?
Both to inform our reporting,
Yeah,
but also to help voters understand the choices that they faced in a consequential and historic election year. NABJ has partnered with PolitiFact to fact check this conversation in real time. You can access that feed on social media using the hashtag NABJ fact check. Again, the hashtag is NABJ fact check. We have a lot to get to, and we do not want to waste any time. So let's bring out the former president of the United States, the Republican nominee for president, former President Donald Trump.
First of all, I'm really upset that they gave him this
I
position.
can't tell.
See how like nobody's clapping.
Thank you.
They normally would be clapping.
Yeah.
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe Black district attorneys. You've attacked Black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking Black supporters to vote for you, why should Black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Okay, so I'm going to pause it right there for just a second. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I am going to do this first question. Because the
Drop
first
the fucking
question sets
anvil.
up what happened afterwards. Real easy. But that question should have been like that should have just been the topic of the entire thing, in my personal opinion. That should have immediately been a thing that we stayed on and left until he actually answered the fucking question. Because this is his response.
That was the most difficult case, and I just won it. My message is
Supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris.
Nope, it skipped. Sorry, hold on.
Okay, I was like, Donald Trump's voice changed.
Live, this is what happens when you have a live show.
They came from. You have used words like and racist. Why should Black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network.
You can
I
hear
would
him
like to make
laughing
the-
in
the-
the background.
I would like to at least make the comment that they did say hello at the beginning. They did.
They did.
They reached out, shook his hand, said hello, Mr. President. I saw it on their thing, because anyone who's served as a president before is always given the honorific that they earned. So they did say hello, and then went to their questions because they have to.
Because they have questions.
Because, I don't know. It's a fucking journalist convention with like people that actually do journalism.
Who do this?
And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the Black population of this country. I've done so much for the Black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for Black workers and Black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically Black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was
He
told
did
my
that shit on
opponent was
purpose.
going to be here.
Yeah,
It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working, or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
you
it's
to
a
answer the
very
question on
nasty
your rhetoric
question.
and
Well,
why you
I have
believe that
answered the
Black voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
5
have
years.
been the best president for the Black population since Abraham
Shout out to the girl who
Lincoln.
said, "Whoa."
That's my answer. You started the question and answer period.
You got to back that one up.
Yeah,
Where's
that
Zoom?
whoa
She's
was
gonna
like,
Zoom, and she's
whoa.
not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working, or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
you
it's
to
a
answer the
very
question on
nasty
your rhetoric
question.
and
Well,
why you
I
believe
have
that
answered
Black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
5
have
years.
been the best
You haven't answered
president
anything.
for the Black population since Abraham Lincoln.
Better
That's
than,
my answer.
better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act.
You to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris.
And it doesn't get better from there.
No, it doesn't.
Shout out to the woman who said, "Whoa." Like,
Yeah.
that was a genuine,
That's great.
like, that was a genuine feeling that came in her spirit that she needed to get out.
Yeah.
Because that whoa came from her shondo.
Mm-hmm. That entire interview can be summed up as angry old white man yells at person of color when they're just asking him honest questions.
Yeah.
Would you like paper or plastic? How dare you? What the fuck?
This is insulting.
And
Because
you know
somebody
what?
asked you an actual question.
I wasn't gonna do this because
Because
I
it
didn't
really
feel like
just
I had it
shows
in me, but I got it in me.
how far he feels privileged above everyone else.
Yeah.
And Harris Faulkner, bring your ass to the very front of the congregation. The very front. Because everyone else was actually asking him questions that made sense, and they were holding him account for his word. You tried to, because he got you in his little pocket. You know what I'm saying? You're one of his blacks. You felt the need to change the whole trajectory of the situation, and then play this little song and dance joke game with Donald Trump about the fact that you couldn't hear each other. Bitch, we could hear him. We could hear you just fine. We could hear her just fine. I know that the acoustics on a stage are very different than for us as the audience than the people on the stage. But the only thing that was playing was the actual sound of her asking the questions and you answering the questions. And furthermore, you were in a packed stadium or packed auditorium that was dead silent.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the speakers that actually was projecting the things that you were saying. Now, as our sound guy here, Tyler, I'm going to ask you just one or two questions because I don't know much about acoustics, things like that. If you were on a stage, should you be able to hear what is coming out of the speakers? And aren't stages acoustics done in a way that it makes the actors or the people on stage's voices amplified so that they can hear each other?
So two parts to that. It depends on the way that the stage is built and designed and the acoustic treatment that's in the building itself. But there are typically what they call monitor speakers that are pointing back towards the stage that will play whatever is being projected out so that you can always hear what's coming out. And usually those are reserved for, like, if it's a situation where there's like a lecture or something going on with people engaging, then those monitors would be projecting back what it is that the people are saying. So
Okay.
yes. And if that's not possible, they have in-ear mics, but usually the in-ear mics are only necessary whenever there is a lot of percussion or loud sounds that are on the stage that are going to make it difficult for the people on the stage to hear each other or to hear their own voices.
Got it. So what it sounds like to me from that very, very in-depth and well done lesson on acoustics and sound design. That there probably were, because this looked like it was just a regular old high school stage. I'm gonna keep it real.
Oh, then there were most definitely monitors that were pointing
So
back. Most
then
definitely.
that there were monitors, so then we can assume that there were monitors in which people would have been able to hear themselves. Everyone, we could hear everything perfectly. So why are you playing this song? It is. Who are you trying to fool, bitch? Yeah, yes, Professor.
I would like to point out yet again, it sounds an awful lot like a near 80-year-old man is losing his hearing. And if you're gonna be trying to hear heads of state, ooh, nope, I'm gonna pull it back and I'm gonna sit back and just let this happen because I have my own person to call up. Yep, I thought of something. So I'm gonna just make the comment that Trump's old, can't hear shit. He's the old man now, so he gets to try to defend the fact that he can't hear somebody 12 feet away from him. Oh,
So
what?
What did you say?
Of
I
course,
couldn't hear you.
selective
little-
hearing.
Yeah. Oh, he
I gotta
absolutely
put on my
has
ear
selective hearing.
didgeridoo.
Yeah.
So
And side note, not trying to be ageist, just pointing out the fact that the man is nearly 80 years old and we're about to entrust him with the United States.
yeah, he old as shit. It is. We know that. You know that. The Lord know that.
And if you have a problem with that call out, but you didn't have a problem with anything being said about Biden, that just shows you don't actually give a shit. Just want to say that too.
Okay. But here's what I need you to do. Harris Faulkner, in case we forgot who we were talking about.
Mhm.
I'm going to need you to take like whatever you have going on and leave us alone. Because I thought clear as day what you were doing. You're talking nice and sweet, like you're not holding this man's feet to the fire. You know, apparently she made the hours after we had our interview, and hours later it was you had your assassin, you were shot, and you were very prophetic on that day because I asked you blah 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 blah, eat 17 dicks. I don't care. Stop playing with us. Like, real talk. Stop playing with us. Stop playing with your own audience. Like,
Eat 23 Colo Guard samples.
oh God. like you as a journalist, your job is to report the news, not make it. And what you did on that stage, while two other accomplished Black journalists were holding his feet to the fire about the things that he has said and what he has done. Somebody asked him, what was Black jobs? And your response, your rather than holding his feet to the fire as well, and actually making yourself look like a credible journalist, you played fucking softball with it. And I guarantee you that because Kamala Harris has already said the reason that she wasn't there today was because she had a prior engagement. Donald Trump, you ain't have shit to do. Like, this woman is still the vice president of the United States. So she had shit she had to do. You, sir, are grifting and lying to people on your worldwide tour that doesn't make any damn sense to me, but you do what you got to do. It's none of my business. But for you to go in and do all that is just crazy. Like, it's ignorant. I don't understand. You call yourself a journalist, and this is what you give us. Now, again, one of them asked him, "What are black jobs?" He couldn't answer that question. The way he dodged questions, you would think he was on a football field at 22 years old. Like he was bucking and weaving on them questions, and they tried their best to hold him to the fire. He said that Kamala was, or Vice President Harris, sorry, was never claimed that she was black, and we all know that that is not the truth. She was an Indian American, and now all of a sudden she's black. First of all, she went to an HBCU and also pledged an HBC, historically black sorority. Like, go somewhere with that bullshit. And
that's like saying AOC never said she was Latino.
Right.
Yep.
And then he also said that she didn't pass the bar, which is not the case. You can't be an attorney general if you never pass the bar. Like, these are things that you simply can fact check. And for their credit, PolitiFact did a fantastic job fact checking in real time. I watched it; it was great, and that's that on that. Professor, before we go, you said that you have someone you'd like to cuss out.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Monsieur Trump, if you wouldn't mind, come down here.
Okay.
Because this is just straightforward. Why in the name of all that is legal did you have a private meeting with Netanyahu and I forget the other person that was there. There were two heads of state that he invited down to Mar-a-Lago, and there is video evidence of him sitting there talking with them, talking about how when he's reelected, he will work with Israel to improve things, I think is how it was phrased over there. I would like to, for those that don't know, I am Professor Tig, I would like to offer up, isn't that a violation of the Logan Act? For those that are unfamiliar, the Logan Act, I pulled it up so I can quote it to you.
Hold on, let me do this. Hold on.
Oh, God. That fits perfectly fine. So, for those that don't know, the Logan Act, 1 Statute 61318 USC, enacted January 30th, 1799, is a United States federal law that criminalizes the negotiation of a dispute between the United States and a foreign government by an unauthorized American citizen. The intent behind the act is to prevent unauthorized negotiations from undermining the government's position. The act was passed following George Logan's unauthorized negotiations with France in 1798, was signed into law by John Adams in 1799. The act was amended in 94, changing the penalty for violations from fined $5,000 to fined under the act, because obviously you need a little bit more money than $5,000 to keep people from, making decisions for the U.S. government with foreign powers that you are not authorized by the U.S. government to make those statements. So a former president, not a current president, sitting down during an election year and telling a foreign power that if he could get a little bit of support, he would make things better for them and the United States relationships would improve, however that means, is acting and negotiating on behalf of the United States to influence an election period of a person not authorized to do so. If he wanted to invite him down for a game of golf and talked about the Marlins, then cool. The moment he starts speaking about federal policy when he is not authorized to do so, he is violating the Logan Act, which he can be fined up to find under the title excuse me, face 3 years in federal prison. He violated the Logan Act. So good sir, can you stop trying to just be the worst criminal out there? And by worst, I don't mean the worst, oh God, he's a terrible person. I mean, he's just fucking bad at it. Can you just take a solid second to realize the idiocy of openly violating an act that was established during the foundation of our country to prevent people such as yourself from trying to influence this country's policies without some kind of authorization by the current administration? You are quite literally trying to say, well, I did this as a act of the president. You are no longer the president. You did not win in 2020. You hopefully won't win in 2024 because you're a piece of shit. And you're trying to do things that are actually getting foreign powers to invest in your campaign. That is also illegal, sir. Please sit the fuck down, cry in a corner as Black women everywhere educate you on how big of a piece of shit you are. Thank you.
Okay.
I had one and I totally forgot what it was. I should have written it down. It was good too.
I'm sure it was fantastic.
It probably was. You've had some good ones.
You've had some great ones. Oh, and Amber Rose.
Oh, that
I got to do this with you again.
What'd she do this time?
After the disaster that was Trump today, she gonna tweet out, "You crushed it against those journalists. Like, great job, my president, blah blah blah," or whatever the hell she said. Either way, shut up.
She probably still got another $500,000 for that.
Like, oh, by the way, remember when we asked last week or last episode how much was Amber Rose's? How much was her soul? Professor Tig, why don't you tell them how much her soul is worth?
Amber Rose soul. Let me just pull up this sheet real quick. Hold on a moment. Get my little book out here. Amber Rose. Nope, that's JD Vance. That's Ted Cruz. Amber Rose. That'd be $4 million. She was paid $4 million to speak. So obviously she had no other intention other than just supporting the president. Just want to go ahead and put this back in here. Thank you.
A cheapo.
Right, because you couldn't, like, you could, but you're gonna have to add some more zeros.
You better add 3 more zeros to that to get me to step out there. I'm walking out a billionaire after taxes.
Right, I want to walk out. We ain't paying taxes. That's not what we're doing. Come on now.
True. They handed that in cold hard cash.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that I would do that, but
oh God, no. I'd rather take the turn.
But if you ever see it happen, you know why.
If you ever,
I got paid.
Listen, if you ever hear me say, I'm not even going to say it so somebody can clip it. We're not doing that today. Just know, if I ever said that thing that we talk about right now, just know that the check was immaculate.
Right.
Just know I'm buying a planet with this bitch.
Right.
Jupiter's name is going to be JB because I paid for it.
Like, I don't care about this country because I'm gone.
And I'm putting.
I bought 3.
I bought 3.
Listen, I don't care about this planet. Because I'm figuring out we getting the technology to build me a mansion on Jupiter. Like, all my friends can come. The rest of you hoes can sit down. We moving to Jupiter, bitch.
Yeah.
But so shut up. So I'll find something to do. Don't you got kids to raise?
That's what she got the millions for, so she can pay somebody.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your kids are adorable. Don't do this to them. And don't do it to us either. Sorry. Had to get that out. Guys, this has been a supersized episode because so much happened and we had so much to talk about. You'll see us back in 2 weeks where we will be
covering the next ridiculous
the next earth-shattering things that happen. While we're gone, we will be having a birthday. Tyler's birthday is coming.
There's 2 birthdays that are coming.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There it is.
I'm trying to make it about y'all.
What is that day?
Well, okay, guys. Yep, this was great. It's gonna be.
Hold on, let me pull out my book again.
Both of us will have.
This was the best prop moment I've had in a while.
That was a good one. Yeah, both of us will be having birthdays before
Our
the
trips
next
around
one.
the sun.
Yeah. So that is that. But guys, we really love it. You guys, make sure you are sending us comments and don't forget to subscribe and do all of that stuff. Next week is a Cyberqueer week, so we will be over on the So Maddie's channel playing Cyberqueer. It's going to be great and fun, and I've got things coming for them. And we love you, and we'll see y'all.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Whatever time you're watching.